Hare Krishna, good morning devotees from Sridham Mayapur. This is our daily Kirtan, Srimad Bhagavatam. Shuguru Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanarajana Jaya Brajajanarajana Jaya Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Radha Madhava Ji ki, Srila Prabhupada Grantadashi Bhagavatam Ki Gopremanandi Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Shaivandarotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Vede Ramayane Shaiva Purane Bhagavate Tata Adhavante Chamadye Chahari Shaivate Giyate Mukam Karodi Vachalam Gangam Mandayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shigurum Dimataranam Paramananda Madhava Paramananda He Madhava Padunga Luchi Makaranda Se Makaranda Panakori Anande Bolo Hari Hari Harinka Name Vande Vela Harikori Chakadola Se Chakadolanka Padaye Manamo Rahu Nirantare Manamo Nirantare Rahu Ha Krishna Boli Jiva Jao Ha Krishna Boli Jao Jiva Mote Udara Rada Dava Mote Udara Rada Dava Mote Udara Rada Dava. So Indra Prabhu was telling me the sound is not good. I don't know. I think maybe the microphone's got a problem. I'll try to adjust it right now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm just trying to adjust the microphone. It's turned up 100% output volume, I think. Yeah, it's turned up all the way. Indranuj, is it? Can you hear okay? I don't know what else to do. It's really bad when the volume's not good. Hare Krishna. So reading from Grantadash Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, text 39 to 40. Imam lokam tadaivamum atmanam ubayayinam Atmanam anuye cheha ye raya pasavo grihan Vishija sarva anyamscha mam evam vishvato mukam Vajanchanyanya bhaktyatan mityo ati paraye. Thus the devotee who worships me, the all-pervading Lord of the universe, an unflinching devotional service, gives up all aspirations to be promoted to heavenly planets or to become happy in this world with wealth, children, cattle, home, or anything in relationship with the body. I take him to the other side of birth and death. Is that somewhat better now? Krishna. Okay. Not working at all. Is that any better now without the microphone? Hare Krishna. Okay. I'll try to get a new microphone. We'll see what we can do. Srila Prabhupada describes in his purport unflinching devotional service, as described in these two verses, means engaging oneself in full Krishna consciousness or devotional service, accepting the Supreme Lord as all in all. Since the Supreme Lord is all-inclusive, if anyone worships him with unflinching faith, he has automatically achieved all other opulences and performed all other duties. The Lord promises herein that he takes his devotee to the other side of birth and death. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended that one who aspires to go beyond birth and death should have no material possessions. This means that one should not try to be happy in this world or to be promoted to the heavenly world, nor should he try for material wealth, children, houses, or cattle. How liberation is imperceptibly achieved by a pure devotee and what the symptoms are have been explained. For the conditioned soul, there are two statuses of living. One status is in this present life, and the other is our preparation for the next life. If I'm in the mode of goodness, then I'm preparing for promotion to the higher planets. If I'm in the mode of passion, then I shall remain here in a society where activity is very prominent. And if I'm in the mode of ignorance, I may be degraded to animal life or a lower grade of human life. But for a devotee, there's no concern for this life or the next life, because in any life, he does not desire elevation in material prosperity or a high grade or low grade life. He prays to the Lord, "My dear Lord, it does not matter where I'm born, but let me be born even as an ant in the house of the devotee." A pure devotee does not pray to the Lord for liberation from this material bondage. Actually, the pure devotee never thinks that he's fit for liberation. Considering his past life and his mischievous activities, he thinks that he's fit to be sent to the lowest region of hell. If in this life I'm trying to become a devotee, this does not mean that in my many past lives I was 100% pious. That is not possible. A devotee is therefore always conscious of his real position. Only by his full surrender to the Lord, by the Lord's grace, are his sufferings made shorter. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, quote, "Surrender unto me and I will give you protection from all kinds of sinful reaction," end quote. That is his mercy. But this does not mean that one who has surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord has committed no misdeeds in his past life. A devotee always prays, quote, "For my misdeeds may I be born again and again, but my only prayer is that I may not forget your service," end quote. The devotee has that much mental strength, and he prays to the Lord, "May I be born again and again, but let me be born in the home of your pure devotee, so that I may get the chance to develop myself." A pure devotee is not anxious to elevate himself in his next birth. He's already given up that sort of hope. In any life in which one is born as a householder or even as an animal, one must have some children, some resources, or some possessions. But a devotee is not anxious to possess anything. He's satisfied with whatever is obtainable by God's grace. He's not at all attached to improving his social status or improving the status of education of his children. He's not neglectful, he's dutiful, but he does not spend too much time on the upliftment of temporary household or social life. He fully engages in the service of the Lord, and for other affairs, he simply spares as much time as absolutely necessary. Yatarham upayunjata. Such a pure devotee does not care for what is going to happen in the next life or in this life. He does not care even for family, children, or society. He fully engages in the service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that without the knowledge of the devotee, the Lord arranges for him to be immediately transferred to the Lord's transcendental abode just after he leaves his body. After quitting his body, he does not go into the womb of another mother. The ordinary common living entity after death is transferred to the womb of another mother, according to his karma or activities, to take another type of body. But as far as the devotee is concerned, he is at once transferred to the spiritual world in the association of the Lord. This is the Lord's special mercy. How it is possible is explained in the following verses. Because he is all-powerful, the Lord can do anything and everything. He can excuse all sinful reactions. he can immediately transfer a person to Vaikuntha Lok. That is the inconceivable power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is favorably disposed to his pure devotees. Gora Draganya Ganagotra Goloruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyara Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshika Varam Satatam Vanchakopavidisham Vipa Sindhu Vyayevacham Patitanam Pavani Vaishnava Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So, this verse in purport, Srila Prabhupada, twice in his purport, he mentions that the devotee prays to the Lord, may I be born again and again, but let me be born in the home of your pure devotee, so that I may get a chance to develop myself. So, this is the nature of a devotee. This is the nature of Krishna. The devotee doesn't want liberation, but Krishna won't let his devotee go. Krishna will take his devotee with him. The devotee never prays for that. It's like having a friend. Just like Shyamasundar Prabhu, speaking about his friendship with George Harrison. And very wisely, he made a vow in his mind that he wasn't going to ask George for anything. If George offered something, then he might take it. And he just refused. And then once, Srila Prabhupada, when he needed money to print Krishna book, he asked Shyamasundar Prabhu to say something to George. And it's a long story, but finally Shyamasundar did. And George agreed to give that. It's a long story. But that's the nature of a friendship. It's the nature of loving relationships. We don't want something from the other person. We don't just go to Krishna because you can give me liberation, because you can give me money, because you can give me a wife, you can give me this or that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a beautiful prayer, his Gita Mala. Harihe Veda Vidhi Anusari Karma Kori E Samsari Jiva Puna Puna Janma Pai Purva Krita Karma Phale Tomadava Icha Bole Janma Jadi Labi Punarai. It says, oh my dear Lord Hari, I've been working according to this Veda Vidhi, I'm sorry, these Vedic conjunctions, Karma Kori Samsari, by which Jiva Puna Puna Janma Pai, the soul takes birth again and again. Someone does like this, they follow in all these Vedic conjunctions. He says, I don't mind if I have to take birth again. Purva Krita Karma Phale, because of my previous karma, I have to take birth. Tomarava Icha Bole, by your desire, your Icha. Then Janma Jadi Labi Punaroy, let me do that. But I have just one request from you. Taba eka kata mama suna he purushottama tava dasa sangha janagare. Kita janma jadi hoy, tahate odoyamoy, rahi bahe santushta antare. This is my only petition to you, O Purushottam, O best of all persons. If I have to take birth again, then my next birth, Kita Janma, Jadi Hoy, just let me take birth as a Kita, as an insect, as a worm, in the home of your loving servant. And then I'll be satisfied if I can just be an insect in the home of your devotee. Tava dasa sangahina jegri hasta avachina tara grihi chata mukha bhuti Nachai kakana hari, korodvaya joda kori, koritava kinkoro minati. Please, my dear Lord, my prayer to you is, don't let me take birth in a home of somebody who's averse to associating with your devotees. Tavadasa Singahina, who doesn't associate with your devotees, even if he has as much wealth as Chaturmukh, as Lord Brahma. He says, with folded hands, this is the only prayer that Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes. And Saranagati Bhaktivinoda says a similar thing. Kita janma halyata tuya dasa bahirmukha brahma janme nahi asa. My dear Lord, let me take birth even as an insect wherever your devotees are present. I don't want to take birth even as Lord Brahma and be averse to you. This is a prayer of Thakur Bhaktivinoda, that this is all that I want. I want association with your devotees. Because that association with the devotees, that's better than liberation. The Prachetas, they pray to Lord Vishnu in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam. Remember that verse, Krishna Queen? Tulayama lavena pi swargamna punaya bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kemutansi saha. Our dear Lord, we don't want liberation. I don't want to go to the heavenly planets. All that I want, let me take birth again and again. But I just want to be with your devotees. Because association with the devotees is even better than liberation. Because Krishna himself wants to associate with the devotees. Because association with devotees is the topmost thing. Vitrasura, who prays in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, Mamotama shloka janeshu sakyam sansara chakre brahmata karmavi tvanmaya yatma jadadhara grigehesh asakta chitta shanatata nanata bhuyat. Said, my dear Lord, I'm wandering around this samsara chakra. The chakra means a wheel of repeated birth and death. Brahmata means it. And I'm just wandering. Because of my fruitive activities, Swakarma be. I don't mind that. I'm not asking for liberation. But all I want is friendship in association with your devotees. He said, I don't want to be attached to my body, to my wife, to my children, my home. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. Because in association with the devotees of the Lord, by hearing with the devotees, by hearing and chanting, we actually associate with the Lord. It's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat in Adi Leela chapter 3, text 49. Gora Chandra Avirbhava Shune Jai Jane Kabuduka Nahitara Janma Vamarani. That anyone who hears about Gora Chandra Avirbhav, about the appearance of Lord Gora Chandra, Kabuduka Nahitara Janma Vamarani, he doesn't feel any distress either in life or at the time of death. Shunile Chaitanya Katha Bhakti Phala Dare Janme Janme Chaitanyera Shange Avatare. By hearing the topics of Sri Chaitanya, by hearing these Sunile Chaitanya Katha Bhakti Phala Dare, then you get the fruit of bhakti. Janme Janme Chaitanya Shange Avatare. And then, birth after birth, you're accompanying the Lord in his pastimes. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta comments in this verse. He says that if a living entity hears the topics of Sri Chaitanya Dev, then his service attitude is awakened, and he can accompany Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in each of his incarnations within this world. So the Lord takes the devotees with him. And he does this in different ways, as we were speaking a few days ago. Krishna is known as Manohara. Hara means the thief, Mano means the mind. So Manohara means the thief of the mind, or that person who enchants the mind. He's also known as Chitta Chora, or the thief of the heart. And we heard something a few days ago, how Krishna, when he was going to the forest, the Brijbasis were trying to follow along behind him. And Krishna was thinking to himself, my mother can't come with me, I'm going to be with my friends. And so then Krishna thought to himself, they feel sad when I leave, so let me take their minds with me. And Krishna became Manohar, he stole their minds. But then the Brijbasis' eyes, they were also thinking, what other objects to see do we have other than Krishna? So their eyes also followed him. And so in this way, Krishna captures the devotees, and he keeps them with him. In Vedanta Madhav, by Rupa Goswami, is a beautiful poetic verse, which is described, spoken by Purnamasi. Ayam nayana dandita prabhava pundarika prabha prabhate nava jagura duti vidambi pitambara aranya jad pariskriya damita dibya vesadaro harin mani mano hara duti bi ujvalango hari. That Krishna's beauty, Ayanayana Dandita, the beautiful eyes of Krishna. Those eyes, Pundarik Prabha, they're like they surpass the beauty of a cluster of white lotus flowers. His yellow garments surpass the brilliance of fresh decorations of kumkum. His ornaments of selected forest flowers subdue the hankering for the best of garments, and his bodily beauty possesses mind-attracting splendor, greater than the jewels known as marakata, money, or emeralds. So this is the nature of Krishna. Harin mani manohara duti bi ujvalango hari. That Krishna, he's manohar, and he attracts the mind of his devotees, and he takes his devotees' minds with him. And then for the devotee, it doesn't matter if they're liberated, if they're not liberated. The devotees, their only prayer is, may I take birth again and again. May I take birth as a worm, but let me take birth in the home of your devotee. Because in the home of your devotee, I'll always be able to hear about you. And by hearing about Krishna, our minds will become stolen by Krishna. And we'll go with Krishna. There'll be no separation of the devotee in such a circumstance. Once there was one newly married gopi who was living in Braj, and she came to live in her husband's home in Nandagaon. Now this gopi, she'd come from a different place, and she'd heard about the king, the son of the king of Nandagaon, Krishna, and Krishna's wonderful activities, his name, but she'd never had the good fortune to see him directly. Now every day as Krishna was going to herd the cows and was leaving with his friends, he would play his flute. And all the residents of Nandagaon would come out in the path eager to see Krishna's beauty. Some of them would get on the balcony, some of them would climb trees, some of them would peer through windows. And this newly married gopi, she also wanted to go there to see Krishna. But her mother-in-law told her, no, can't go. If you go to see Krishna, there's a black snake that will bite you. You can't go. And she said, this is not fair. She said, your daughter's going out, so why are you forbidding me? But the mother-in-law wouldn't agree. And so she, one day when Krishna had gone out and he was playing on his flute and everyone was going to see him, and this poor gopi was thinking, I can't go to see Krishna. It's not fair. So she went, she saw there was a crack in the door. And she went to that crack and she put her eye up against it. And she saw Krishna. And as soon as she saw Krishna, she became so attractive. And Krishna, understanding her mind, was going along behind the small calves. And Krishna, then he grabbed the tail of one of the calves and he twisted it. And that calf took off running and went running just like an arrow to the door of that newly married gopi. And then Krishna ran after that calf, and came just before the door where that gopi was looking through the crack. And Krishna just stood there and smiled. And he's Manohar. He completely stole her mind. And that gopi lost all external consciousness, and she became stunned, just standing there while Krishna entered the forest. And so then her mother-in-law came back, and she saw her, and she said, oh no, you saw that black snake. You've been bitten by him. That's what I was afraid of. So she took her back in the home, and she thought, well, we have to get her mind on something else. So they told her, you churn some butter in a clay pot. We just got a nice video a few days ago from Anuradha, our god sister in Patamandai, showing how the brahmacharis there are churning butter in a pot. Very, very nice thing. That's our traditional Vedic culture. And so, but this bride, her mind was stolen by that chitta chor, that stealer of the heart, who was known as Manohar. And they gave her that pot and told her, you churn some yogurt. And so she took a different pot that had mustard seeds in it, and she began to churn that. And it started making a very loud, harsh noise. And somebody said, what are you doing? Crazy woman. But that snake bit her. So then they told her, you go and get some water from the well. They put 3 pots on her head. It's not easy being a gopi in Vrindavan. They put 3 pots on her head. They gave a rope to her in one hand, and a little baby to carry on her hip on the other arm. And so she went to fetch some water from the well. But her mind was no longer there, because Manohar, Krishna, had stolen her mind to take it with her. So when she went to the well, she was completely bewildered. She took the rope, and the bucket was there. She's supposed to tie the rope to the bucket and drop the bucket in the water. She took the rope and she tied the rope around the baby. And she started lowering the baby into the well. And then some people saw, hey, what is she doing? Stop. She's possessed by some kind of ghost. And someone said, no, it's not a ghost. It's that Manohar. Krishna, he steals the mind of the devotees. And the amazing thing is that when the devotee becomes attached to hearing and chanting about Krishna, then Krishna also becomes bound up. Sanatana Goswami gives a verse, I don't know where it's from, but in his commentary on Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he quotes this. Krishna Shravana Pasat Tvam Niryato Dhyana Rajubi Grayas Tabyashta Niryato Nama Kirtana Shrinkalai Tod Bhakti Lolitan Adya Namoya Japtu Moksha Se Brito Drito Sigadham Tvam Pitta Koshe Avasasi. So, oh my dear Lord, you who are dressed in beautiful yellow silken cloth, with my love for you, I tied you up with the ropes of hearing about you, with the ropes of meditating on you, and the chains of chanting your names. Now I have you very tightly, and you'll never escape. There's a beautiful song that our Guru Maharaj used to sometimes sing in this regard. Dhanam cha manam cha titindriyani pranam cha vidvamam sarvameva palaya se kutra dritodya chora tvam bhakti nasi maya nirudha. My Guru Maharaj translated this once. He said, "O great thief Krishna, you're stealing our assets, our bank balance, our money, our land, our property, our prestige, our fame, our senses, our mind, our heart, everything. And now you're running away. Where are you running? I'll catch hold of you. You're such a great thief, but now you're caught. I'll bind you with this rope of love. Where will you go now, great thief, running away and taking everything? You're bound up with this very strong rope of love. You can't run away now. Manmana se tamasa rasi gore karagrihe dukkha moye nibadha labasva he chora hare chiraya swatorya doso chitameva dandam. O great Lord, great thief, Lord Hari, I'm putting you in a very dark prison house of my heart. This is the right prison for you. I'm putting you here forever. This is a proper punishment for your act of stealing. Stay forever in this prison house of my heart. I'll never release you. Kara grihe vasa sada hriday madhye madbhakta pasachridya bandhana nischalasan tam Krishna he pralaya koti santantare pi sarvasvachora hridayan nahi mujyami. Now I've bound you with the rope of love and put you in the prison house of my heart. Stay there, stay there, stay there, my Guru said. You cannot get yourself free from this very tight bondage. Oh Krishna, you've stolen everything from me. My material assets, my name, my fame, my beauty, my reputation, my kith and kin, my family members, my heart and mind. This is a proper punishment for you, to remain in this prison house of my heart, bound up very tightly with the rope of love forever and forever. If crores of pralayas come, if the universe is destroyed millions of times over, still I won't release you. This is a suitable punishment for such a great thief as you. And so this is the nature of bhakti, that bhakti is so powerful that a devotee doesn't want liberation. But Krishna will always keep that devotee with him. And such a devotee, it may appear that he's in this material world, it may appear that such a devotee is taking care of his family duties and responsibilities and things. But that devotee is not actually in this material world. The devotee is always with Krishna, because the devotee is always absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna. As Prabhupada says in the purport, the pure devotee doesn't think he's fit for liberation. Considering his past life and his mischievous activities, he thinks that he's fit to be sent to the lowest region of hell. If in this life I'm trying to become a devotee, that doesn't mean that in my many past lives I was 100% pious. It's not possible. A devotee is therefore always conscious of his real position. So for such a devotee, he's not coming to the Lord and begging for something. Dhanam dehi rupam dehi, please give me some money, give me a good wife, give me liberation. But nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kami mama janmani janmanishware mavatad bhakti rahoita kitvaye. I am praying only for something much, much, much greater than liberation. As Prabhupada says in the purport, my dear Lord, it doesn't matter where I am born, but let me be born even as an ant in the house of a devotee. Because in association with the devotees, I can develop bhakti. In association with the devotees, I'll be able to hear and chant. And in such association, there's no question of being separated from Krishna. There's no question of Krishna being able to be separated from his devotee. Because such a devotee binds Krishna up in his heart with the rope of love, the rope of hearing and chanting. So we'll go ahead and stop there. Someone said such a nice song. I sang several songs, one of which is called Chorgaganya Purushastakam, which is an ancient song. We don't know the author of, although some people accredit it to Bilvamangala Thakur. It doesn't seem likely that it's actually by Bilvamangala Thakur. But a very wonderful song Vaishnavas sing. So I'm sorry that our microphone kind of died today. We're doing the best we can. Hare Krishna. Nice to see everybody here. Bhajabanita, Lim, Indranoj Prabhu. I'm sorry again for the microphone. Madhupati Prabhu. Mahadevi, Hare Krishna. Krishna's our best friend. Srila Prabhupada's our best friend. By serving Srila Prabhupada, Krishna become indebted to such a devotee. Lynn says, this teaching seems to challenge the concept of free will. Or perhaps there is free will and the willingness to be stolen and imprisoned. My Guru Maharaj used to say that we want Krishna to steal our heart. But why will Krishna want to steal your heart? Because your heart has so many nasty things in it. There's a bad smell coming from it. We have so many different desires. So we have to purify our heart by associating with devotees and by hearing and chanting. And then Krishna will steal that heart. So it's a fact that In the material world, it sounds very terrible to be stolen, to become bound up by somebody. But this kind of bondage is wanted. And we see this in the nature of love. Although if you go to your average American and you say, so now you have no free will and you're bound up, they're going to be very angry because America is a place of the independent cowboy. And say, no, I have my guns and I have my free will. But the same person becomes bound up by their children. And they put their little child on their back and they ride them like a horse. Or they become bound up by their girlfriend or by their wife. They become bound up by love. And it's the nature of love. It binds someone. Our problem when we think about this in connection with the Lord is many times we don't think of the Lord in terms of love. But we think in terms of the Lord for liberation or give me some money or give me this thing or that thing. And that's why it's so important that Lord Kapiladev in this section of the Bhagavatam is repeatedly stressing over and over again that a pure devotee doesn't want liberation. The devotee just wants to be with Krishna. They want their mind and heart to be stolen by Krishna. Just like a young boy wants his mind and heart to be stolen by a young girl, or a girl wants her mind and heart to be stolen by a young boy. Brajabandita has commented that it's such an important mood to think that you don't even desire liberation. So I want to stop there. Anupani Radha, do you have any comments, reflections? You have to come over here. The mic's no longer working. And say something really loud.
When you start to say about that devotees, they don't want something from Krishna, they just want to serve him, it's also remind me how even we are, if somebody doing something for us with some motive, he wants to get something for us, we feel sad. It's even painful, and we don't want this kind of relationship. Although externally it's maybe really nice, and this make me think that Krishna also.
Yeah, just like Dhruva Maharaj, he got Krishna. He had such a strong desire. He was a Kshatriya boy. He was offended by his mother, his stepmother. And he wanted revenge, and he saw and his mother, his real mother, told him that the only way you can do that, only Krishna could help this. So he went to the forest. I'm going to get Krishna. He's a 5-year-old boy, and he's praying. I want to have a kingdom bigger than my grandfather. His grandfather was Lord Brahma. He was in charge of the whole universe. And then Krishna appeared before him, and Rupa Goswami, as Pajavali says that at that time Dhruva Maharaj said, what am I praying for? I was praying for broken glass. Instead, I've gotten diamonds. Why do I want liberations in that? Ramana Sukaprabhu's comment, Akama Saiva Kamuva Moksha Kamu Varadi. The devotee should only pray for pure devotion and be in devotee association. But material desires can also be prayed for. How do devotees resolve this apparent contradiction? Well, we should be honest. It's not that we should, like we go to some girl and tell her, I only like you, I only think about you. And it's not true. He has so many girlfriends that he's going and seeing. She'll be offended by that. And it's false love. It's a false declaration. We don't want to make a false declaration before Krishna. So akama saiva kamu moksha kamu, that whatever we want, whether we want everything, we want all types of sense gratification, we want liberation, we want bhakti, we should pray to Krishna. It means that we should be honest. And we come before Krishna and say, oh Krishna, I have these things in my heart, but really I know this is not going to give me happiness. And therefore Lord Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, he prays, Yadi dasyasi me kaman vadam stvam vadadarshava kamanam hidya samroham bhavatastu vanevam. Oh my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you want to give me a desirable benediction, then I pray to your Lordship that in the core of my heart there be no material desires. He's not denying that he has material desires. He says, I have these material desires. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj has no material desires, but he's acting like that. But the devotee who has material desires, it's not that he denies them, he tries to act like, oh, I have pure love for you, I'm so great. He doesn't. But as Srila Prabhupada says in his purport today, in this verse, he says that a devotee is always conscious of his real position. But at the same time, a devotee is conscious that this is not going to help me. And that if I get these material things, it's just going to bring me more and more suffering and anxiety. And really, bhakti is the only thing that I should want, but I have these other desires. Oh, Krishna, please help me. That's my humble understanding. My pranams to you, my pranams to your good God sister Mahadevi, who's been a well-wisher for many, many years. I hope that you both bless me, that I can always have association with Srila Prabhupada's disciples and followers. So thank you all very much. Do you have something else on the panel?
No, I think you already. I just wanted to share this, how it's beautiful. You explained that this word Manohar, and he's thinking about his devotees, like, oh, they feel pain when I'm leaving them, that's why let me take their minds. But it's beautiful. And for me, more beautiful when you said that if we have a chance by hearing and sadhu sangha, also that Krishna will take our minds by in that kind of way.
The religionists, the people who are the liberationists, who are wanting liberation through following religious rituals, they're thinking that the purpose is to go to the Godhead, to go to heaven, to get liberation. But the devotees, they pray, Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare. Let me take birth again and again and again, but just let me be with your devotees. Let me take birth even as an insect in the home of your devotee. That's much greater than liberation. But Krishna won't let those devotees go. He captures them. Okay, so we'll stop there. And today's Saturday. We'll again be here tomorrow on Sunday. And tomorrow afternoon, I think it is, we have a special, tomorrow evening we have a special katha about Lord Jagannath's pandemic quarantine, that he locks himself down. And after coming out of that, his Rath Yatra Festival, will be a talk we're giving primarily for the devotees in New York for their Rath Yatra. But we'll do it online here on Facebook, so if anybody's interested. I think tomorrow that will be from 7:30 to 8:30 in the evening. So if anyone wants to take part in that, Indian time. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gopremanandi Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpataru.